Hello chess friends and welcome to your Out of Chess channel and welcome to a spectacular match that has been played yesterday in the semifinals of the León Masters in 2024. We have now the clash of the legends, the clash of the titans between Veselin Topalov and Viswanathan Anand. So this is now of course the repetition of their 2010 World Chess Championship match, in which we know Viswanathan Anand was slightly better. He won his World Chess Championship title again after his wins against Vladimir Kramnik. And I have to say it, am a little bit subjective about this game because I really enjoyed the chess war the most between, I don't know, 2006, 2012, 13 when Vishy Anand was the world champion in chess, because I got back to chess after a long break and I really tried to copy Vishy Anand's openings. I used to play many times the semi-Slav defense like Vishy against Kramnik in their World Chess Championship match, but then I used to also play the Catalan that was, I think, very well played by Vishy Anand also in the World Chess Championship match against Topalov. But we have to mention also Veselin Topalov. They call him the Mr. Exchange Sacrifice because he sacrificed the exchange very many times in the early stage of the game. He gave up maybe the rook for a knight and then try to spice up the game. So these are really two living legends. So that's why I've decided to show you one game from their match. They had to play 4 rapid games. The tempo of the games was 20 minutes on the clock plus 10 seconds increment per move. I don't want to reveal you now immediately the result of the semifinals of the León Masters, but first we'll analyze the game and then we'll see who was the winner and is moving up into the final. So let's see now what happened here in one game with the white pieces. Veselin Topalov opened with the move e4. Vishy's response was the solid e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and now after bishop to b5 we have the standard Spanish opening, the beautiful Ruy Lopez. a6, Murphy defense, bishop to a4, knight to f6 by Vishy, here by Topalov castling, bishop to e7, close Ruy Lopez, rook to e1, pretty standard ideas, and after castling, first of all b5, pardon me, here by Vishy Anand, we have bishop to b3. Now Vishy simply castled, and now we have the so-called anti-martial stuff here with the move a4. Of course the threat is a takes b5 and maybe to grab the rook, so that's why here Vishy stayed connected to the b pawn, played now solid rook to b8. We have now the move d3, keeping the structure healthy in the center of the board, d6 by Vishy, and now h3. Prophylactic idea here by Veselin Topalov, not allowing here maybe some ideas like bishop to g4, then of course maybe to break and enter here by black with the move d5. So pretty often play line by both sides. We have knight to a5 by Vishy, hitting the bishop. Here Veselin Topalov retreats, and now after move c5, here we have a theoretical novelty by Veselin Topalov, a takes b5, and after a takes b5, I would say this is a pretty equal position, nothing gained so far for both sides. Everything is perfectly solid, everything is firm here, and no one has, I think, here a decisive advantage. So here we have c3 by Topalov, preparing also the d4 breakthrough, knight to c6 by Vishy, controlling the d4 square, and now knight to a3, which is, I think, a good maneuver here by Veselin Topalov. You could maybe try here to move knight to d2, but of course then you're standing in the way of your own bishop, so that's why first of all knight to a3, and here with this move Veselin Topalov is trying, of course, to reroute the knight maybe to e3 and then also to occupy the weak d5 square, which we have to say it is left behind in Vishy's position because he played this d6 c5 e5 setup, and now there is a hole in black's position. That's now the only weakness I would say here in black's camp. We have now the move h6. Good move here by Vishy because there is now, I think, a certain very positional idea by white. White would left might maybe even try to play bishop to g5, then to hit the knight on f6, which is controlling, of course, the d5 square, and then with the same plan, knight to c2, knight to e3, and then knight to d5 with the support of the bishop, simply occupying this weak square in black's position. So that's why h6 at least it's not allowing for this positional trades of pieces, bishop to g5 and bishop to f6. Of course it's risky sometimes to give up the bishop for a knight in the early stage of the game, but I think the compensation that you can get to occupy the d5 square would be very cool here for white. So that's why great move here by Vishy, anticipating the possibility of knight to d5 in long term. So after move h6, Topalov continues, of course, with his plan. Still he wants to go for the d5 square, We have rook to e8. Vishy is trying maybe to break and enter with the move d5, and also that's why he's playing rook to e8 to connect his rook further maybe to the pawn on e5. But now Topalov simply relies on his plan. Knight to e3 controls further the d5 score. Bishop to f8, bishop to d2, bishop to e6, after bishop to e6, rook to e6. Both bishops here on d2 but also on f8 are not of course in optimal shape, but still I would say white's dark square bishop army is slightly better than black's dark square bishop, because black's dark square bishop is a little bit blocked out here by its own pawn structure, so that's why so far tiny little advantage of course here for white. We have queen to b3 by Topalov, still battling for the d5 square, queen to c8, rook to a2, rook to e8, and now rook to a1 again, occupying simply the only open file, the a file that here Veselin Topalov has taken care of. And again, nothing dramatic, still the positions about equal, maybe slightly easier to play white's position, especially because of the a file attack, because of this potential problems around the square d5. But Vishy played again a pretty solid idea, queen to e6. He's saying, if you want to trade, then I could, or even maybe I don't know, take with the f pawn and then control further the d5 square. So that's why here Veselin Topalov occupies the d5 square immediately. Knight to d5 is of course not working because of e takes d5 fork against both of these pieces. So after knight to d5, king to h8 by Vishy, c4, b takes c4. You have to pick up now with the queen, and now rook from e to c8, and now knight to f6. Again, you see Topalov is battling for the d5 square. He simply clears all of the pieces that are protecting the d5 weakness. It's of course, as I said, the only weakness in black's camp, so pretty logic also stuff here by Veselin Topalov. Queen to f6, bishop to c3. Topalov protects of course the b2 pawn, wants to play now freely with the rooks on the a file. Knight to d4 by Vishy, good move also. Finally also Vishy occupied one square in white position. We have now knight to d2, again with the idea knight to f1, knight to e3, and maybe then knight to d5. We have knight to e2 by Vishy, good move, and now simply occupying the f4 square, but again controlling the d5 square. So you see, it's a really interesting battle for just one square through the whole game. We have rook to a7. Topalov goes now very active with the rook into the game. King to g8, and now Topalov rushed a little bit. He played rook to a6. Many of us would play this move. Seems pretty logic. Okay, you're occupying again the 6th rank, your rook is already on the 7th rank, but a better choice is, and this is really crazy how chess can be brutal, because the only good move is such a tactical move that in faster time formats I'm not sure how anyone could even calculate this. A better choice is here to play the move h4, and this is so crazy. I'm not sure how many of us would even consider this move. h4 is good because after queen to h4, you can of course pick up this pawn, but it's not such a huge problem even for black to lose this pawn on f7. What's the issue here is after king to h8 and king to g1, now from white's perspective, you can even lose the pawn on d3, but the main goal is here for you to occupy the c4 square, and then you're trying to get again the knight on e3, knight on f5, knight to d5. Although you're down a pawn, I think here white will have a beautiful piece activity. Also now the d6 is temporarily weak. You're trying maybe queen to g4. Look at this, even bishop to d2 in some lines is working. Bishop to h6, then you could get checkmated after g takes h6. You're trying maybe something like this. This just a stockfish line that I'm showing you, but I wanted to show you how Topalov should have seen maybe this epic sequence just in order to somehow stay active into the game. Look at this, rook to a3, knight to f4, takes, and now rook to f3. Although again down a pawn, this knight on c4 is much better than this bishop on f8. This one is controlled, so very tough position to handle now for black. Maybe knight to d6, bishop to d6 in some lines. If the queen is late, maybe here you're vulnerable around the square g7. As I said, h4, at least in the beginning, I think Topalov should have played at least trying this idea queen to f7, at least to do something. But he played the rook from the first rank to a6, allowed here Veselin Anand to connect now the rook to this pawn, because the issue for Vishy is that you cannot play here queen to g6. You would love to do that, maybe attacking this pawn. But then after g3, knight to h3, there is this problem, bishop to e5. That was actually Topalov's preparation. He's trying to battle against this queen on the 6th rank. And again, I think it would be a pretty equal position, maybe even slightly better for black because of this active knight. But as I said, here with the move rook from a to from the 1st rank to the 6th rank, Topalov tried to do some tactics around the square e5. But as I said, rook to e8, good move here by Vishy. We have a rook to d7. Again, Topalov plays, I think, the natural moves. I think the moves that everyone would consider. Again, he's putting more pressure around the square d6. But now Vishy could have immediately, I think, punished this move with a simple queen to g6 now. Because again, bishop to e5, as we said, it's not working because you played rook to e8 in the first place. But now after move g3, look at this. This position is collapsing after queen to h5 here by white. Look at this. You try maybe g takes f4, then we pick up this one, and the rook is hanging even on d7. Unfortunately for Vishy, after rook to d7, he didn't play that. He didn't play queen to g6. He tried this one. Also, I would say a good choice, although this is evaluated as an inaccuracy by the engines. But I like Vishy's choice because when you play now, maybe in this faster time format, and you notice that your opponent has really active pieces, then you're trying to get rid of his activities. You're trying to get rid of his really most active pieces on the board. So the rook to a8 keeps here black again in a better position because previously Topalov played some inaccuracies. So I would say is also good choice here by Vishy. We have now rook to a7 by Topalov. Here, maybe knight to f3 is slightly better to somehow compete here on this side of the board, bringing a new defender into the game. After something like, I don't know, knight to h3, you have still this resource, bishop to a5. Again, the position could crack here on this 6th rank. That was your idea in the first place. Now with knight to f3, you could do at least this kind of a tactic. But okay, yeah, for rook to a7 that Topalov played, now Vishy releases the pressure. Very important moves, I think, here for black to somehow not be vulnerable on this side of the board. So here Vishy has, of course, a better activity, especially with some tactics on this side of the board, especially here around the square g2, but also around the square h3. We have now queen to g6. Look now how Vishy solved his problems on the queen side, and now the game is transposing to the king side, where black is, of course, as I said, simply a better activity. We have g3, knight to h3, knight to f3. You see now Topalov is playing now the moves that he should have played previously, getting a new defender into the game. Queen to h5 by Vishy, putting more pressure. And after king to g2, here Vishy had the immediate opportunity to play very, very solid here, maybe queen to g4. Sorry. After king to g2, pardon me, here Vishy played rook to e6, which is a good move, activating further the pieces, trying, of course, to do some tactics on the g file. But now after move knight to h4, after move knight to h4 that Veselin Topalov played, here Vishy should have played simply queen to g4, and now knight to f4 is a huge threat. You're trying maybe something like bishop to e1 to get a new defender into the game. Then knight to f4, look at this, then the queen is coming here, you're trying to escape, and now you pick up this one on d3. And I think when you lose now this very important pawn, this is game over here for white. So that was Vishy's option with queen to g4, but he played now maybe not the optimal line. The engine doesn't like it, but still black is better here. Knight to f4, again a very interesting idea, because black has here very many pieces that are dancing in front of white's king. So here we have g takes f4, Vishy plays now e takes f4, and he's trying now to get, of course, the rook somehow into the game, maybe f3 and then rook to g6. What should you do here from white's perspective? The only way for Topalov to stay in the game is here to play queen to d5. Still, I would say black is better, because after queen to h4, you lose the piece again. And black is better, of course, especially because of the g file attack. But the only way is trying to do something to simplify the game as much as you can. But after move e takes f4 that Vishy played, Topalov played now the move knight to f5. Even if you play here knight to f3, this is not good, because of queen to g4, you have to step back from the defense of the knight. So Topalov is trying to stay with his knight on the board, but now Vishy has the beautiful queen to d1. Also queen to e2 is an option with the potential f3, and then followed with rook to g6. Queen to d1, as I said, good move here by Vishy. He's trying now to activate the rook, and after rook to g6, I'm not seeing good ways how white is going to defend his position. So black is down a piece, but has here really nice attacking chances. So that's why Topalov tried somehow to battle. He played now this rook to f7. Even if you try queen to d5 now, then look at this, h5 is going to happen. You trying maybe here knight to f4 to control somehow, I don't know, the g6 square, but again the queen is coming, and again you will eventually lose your piece on h4. This is the problem here for Topalov. He tried rook to f7, Vishy takes, of course, Topalov stays, of course, on this diagonal, pins simply the rook on e6, queen to g4 check, and now f3, simply hey, sorry, my son came in. Sad ću doći. Zatvori vrata, ok? Samo zatvori vrata. Ej, zatvori vrata. Gledaj. Okay, my son came in, and my wife needs me. Probably have to cook something. Okay, after move f3, we have here here the possibility, of course, of a checkmate on g2, and now that's why knight to e3, good move here by Topalov. But here after queen to g5, here Vishy simplifies the game enough, simply goes for the trades of queens. Topalov battles, of course, with the move e5. He's trying to somehow do something here, but the position is collapsing. D takes e5, simple move here by Vishy. We have queen to f3, and now finally Vishy is trying to escape from this pin on light squares. Of course, Topalov plays again queen to d5, queen to g6, trying, of course, to connect the queen to the rook, and now we have knight to c4. At least something here, I would say, for Topalov, trying to maybe grab this one, maybe somehow if he can also this one, and maybe create a passer. But Vishy is an experienced player. First of all, securing the king on h7. We have now knight to e5. Okay, Vishy is saying I cannot protect this one, but at least I can try again to trade off more pieces, and that's why after queen to e4 we have queen takes e4, d takes e4. But now you see after bishop to d6, Vishy has, of course, the situation where he's up the exchange, but he has also the passer on the h file, and this should be, of course, a completely winning endgame here for black. After bishop to d6, knight to c4, bishop to f4, good move. That's controlling, of course, both of the squares for the knight. Knight to e5 and knight to e3 is not possible. I think if that happens in any of these lines, knight to e3, you play immediately. I think Vishy would, of course, trade off the bishop for a knight. We have f3, h5, simply pushing the pawn, now also pushing this one, and now again a good move here by Vishy. Although this pawn is hanging, Vishy is relying simply on the piece activity, not just protecting material. After bishop to c5, Vishy activates the rook, of course, attacks now both of these pieces, forces again a reaction by white with the move b3, delivers a check, and now pushes the pawn further. So Vishy, you see, found a beautiful tactical sequence in which he cornered white's king, and now there is a serious threat, h3, h2, you're trying maybe this one, and then delivering check, because this bishop would protect then the pawn on h2. So that's why bishop to d6, sort of a must move here for Topalov, forcing a trade of pieces. After bishop to f4, g takes f4, we have now knight to d6. So Topalov has now also this passers, but Vishy is, as I said, a very inexperienced player. First of all, a beautiful move, rook to c3, attacking now this pawn, not rushing with the king. First of all, going for this backward pawn. We have now king to h2, Vishy takes out now the pawn on f3. We have now b4, king to g6, e5, and now rook to e3, simply bringing the rook behind the pawn. We have b5, now attacking this one. Topalov is pushing the pawn, Vishy goes for this one. Here we have a interesting idea also by Topalov. He tried to trick here Vishy with the move king to e6, then of course knight to c5 would be the fork, and game over here for black. So that's why for knight to e4, Vishy played, of course, king to e7, b6, we have rook to b6, and now finally king to h3. Here again Vishy takes out this one, and this is, of course, completely winning. So in this position, Veselin Topalov resigned. So great game, I would say. You see, this guy still can play. Very interesting ideas of the anti-martial of the Ruy Lopez. Really up and down game. Topalov activated the pieces, but Vishy found such great defensive ideas, activated the pieces back on the king side. very spectacular game, I think, by these two legends. And I have to also mention in game 4, so this was the game 3, the first two games ended with a draw, so Vishy won the third game. In game 4, we had really a gentleman move by Viswanathan Anand, in which Vishy had a completely winning position. I would say he was up the exchange. He had 2 rooks against a rook and a bishop and some pawns on the board, in which he could have, I think, won also the game 4, but Veselin Topalov offered a draw. With the draw, of course, Veselin Topalov cannot do anything anymore in their 4 games, but Vishy accepted the draw. He didn't want to, I don't know, mess up further Veselin Topalov's rating. He accepted the draw. He knows that he's winning with the draw, and played the draw, as I said, also in a completely winning position. So gentleman moved then in the end by the legendary Viswanathan Anand, and he is now having a deserved place in this finals of this amazing chess event. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game by the legends. As I said, this was really enjoyable for me when I watched it in 2010, especially in their Catalan games. This was really epic. I used to play them afterwards, the Catalan, because of Vishy's game. So they were really my favorite players back in the early 2000s, but also then in the 2010. So okay, if you want to see some other content here on my YouTube chess channel, check out our commented chess games, but also our commented chess games played by computers, where I analyze some more AI games. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.